Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another installment of the Ask Ian show, and it's been a while this time. I haven't recorded an episode many months now, and I finally got around doing this. The simple reason has been that I've been just so busy with a lot of other things, and when I'm not busy, I'm doing my best to rest from all the busyness and all the projects and all the different kinds of things that I'm doing. But I really wanted to record this, and I've been wanting to record this for a while now, for a very long time, because it's still something I do. It's still something I enjoy doing, and it's an anniversary episode. It's the 10th episode of the Ask Ian show, and what better way to celebrate it than answering a question. So this week's question comes from a while back because I haven't recorded for a while, so it comes from a very special gentleman in my life named Richard Alexander Arsik. Hope I didn't butcher your name too bad, Richard. And why special? Because Richard's been the guy who has challenged me in a lot of ways and supported me in a lot of ways during the recent years. Definitely as a mentor and a friend. And a friend from another part of the world. Because he lives far away from me. But this episode is definitely dedicated to you, Mr. Arsik. And I will do my best to answer your question here. So Richard asked me, or he pointed me towards a topic that I hadn't heard before, the Mandela effect, and apparently after doing research, it's quite a big deal on the internet, and even scientists and physicists are talking about it, and all kinds of theories and blah blah blah. So I listened to a bunch of those videos, and if you don't know, like the Mandela effect at its core, or at least people think how people think about it, is that we live in a universe which has many parallel universes and many parallel realities, and we shift in between them. And how that shows up in real life is, for example, in one reality, Nelson Mandela died in 1991, but in another reality, I mean just need to check real quick. I believe he's still alive. Or no, come on. But like in another reality, he died in the 2000s or something, and just where this specific thing got its name, the Mandela effect. Like people thought he was dead, but he wasn't. and actually we're still living. And that's where the Mandela effect came from. So this is just one example, but a lot of examples are movies, like movie examples, like popular culture. So let's take one example that I came across was the Star Wars example of the famous line of Luke, I am your father, from I believe it's the fourth Star Wars movie. Can't remember the title, but I believe it's the fourth or the fifth. No, one, two. Oh no, fifth or the sixth. There you go, and and like most popular culture thinks it's Luke, I am your father, but the actual movie line is no, I am your father, and and I just want to quickly say that Mandela actually died in 2013. So there you go. Some people thought 1991. Actually, I think there was even a book written where the death date was 1991, but actually it's 2013. And people think these are parallel realities we jump between. And I'm not like I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry, but I have another idea here. So, if you listen to my podcast, you know that I talk a lot about energy. So, and we've established in previous episodes that everything is energy. Consciousness is energy. Words are energy. Ideas are energy. Everything has a vibration, and everything is particles. Are particles? Basically, everything are particles. God damn it! What an annoying conundrum. Let me figure out a way to say it. So energy, or everything, or consciousness is just a lot of particles vibrating at a very high speed, and that's why we see them condensed, because they're just vibrating at such a high speed, and when like a huge energy gets how do I say this? Concentrated. When a lot of energy gets concentrated into one place, then we have a physical manifestation, or a body, or like a thing, like stuff, or something happens, like a birth, or a death, or a restaurant gets built, let's say. And if we agree on what I just said here, then we know there's such a thing like group consciousness, like everything or everybody on this planet. And I believe that's what's going on here. Let's take the. I would like to start with the Star Wars example, because I believe this illustrates it a lot better, and I think it's more popular, like a more popular theme. So the famous line, the infamous line, "Luke, I'm your father." How that gets mixed up is basically some guy, or like I would even say um, like an actor or a prominent figure who is um, involved with the movie making or production or acting or whatever. He does an interview, and maybe there's a like a take on the set where the actual line is, "Luke, I'm your father," and they do a couple of takes, and the one that gets picked in the final edit is, "No, I am your father." So how does that become Luke, I am your father? Like that guy does an interview. Let's say they do a promotional tour, and he says, somewhat by mistake, but it actually isn't a lie. So he says, "Luke, I'm your father." Like he does the impression or whatever, he does the thing, and that gets embedded into the minds of people. And let's say they do like a party, like Star Wars party, and they do everybody does the "Luke, I'm your father," Luke, and that gets more and more embedded into the consciousness of those people, and from that place onward, it even goes further and further and further until everybody thinks it's "Luke, I'm your father." Or like the same thing, a guy writes in a book, whatever his reasons were, like, yeah, Nelson Mandela died in 1991, and like they read it, "Oh, Nelson Mandela died in 1991," and like, oh, another person reads it and like has a conversation with a group, and, "Oh, Nelson Mandela died in 1991." So that I believe that's what's going on here. Like it's pretty simple. It's for me. It's just a matter of group consciousness and how to put this very, very clearly. Um, Everything we speak and do or say has tremendous power, because that penetrates, literally, energetically, that penetrates the consciousness of others. And if others aren't as vigilant as we may want, or as they could be, their consciousness gets, in these cases, I would say, distorted. So it gets distorted, and in other times it just gets influenced. Like this is what happens with a lot of things, like white supremacist. Let's take an extreme example, or let's take feminism. Like, just when you get a lot of women angry and shaming men and speaking about this type of thing to other women, maybe younger women, that men are bad and like monsters and blah blah blah. First, those other women will start believing that actual thought. It gets embedded in their consciousness. Then they start believing that, and that energy actually creates, let's say, monsters in their reality, or men who are monsters in their reality. and I believe it's pretty dangerous, as you can see from this example. Because the truth is, most men aren't monsters. Probably some men, or not probably, definitely some men are so deep in their pain and maybe have not grown up that they do those things that are interpreted as bad or I don't know, monstrous. But the actual truth isn't one extreme. But when you repeat something a lot, and there's let's say there's not a counterforce to say, like in this particular case, a very logical counterforce to say, hey, let's think about this. Or I don't believe everybody is a monster, or every man is a monster or a bad man, or whatever the case may be, rapist, whatever. So everything we hear, we really gotta look and hear through filters, like very strong filters, and we have to interpret energy. And really, like, if somebody says something to us, like even when I say this, like, you gotta really let it through your system. Like, what is this? What is this guy talking about? And like, there is a lot of good information out there. A lot of people doing awesome work, great work in the world, and I believe important work. But there are still a lot of popular beliefs that aren't necessarily true for everybody. They might be true for a person in that moment when they are sharing this, but just check in with yourself next time. Like let's say, for example, you're at a party and somebody says something to you, like, oh, this is here and this is how it is, and well, do this and blah blah blah, and you go like, okay, this sounds pretty awesome or logical or good, but is this true for me? And do I want to do this? And do I want to believe this or not? Because a lot of the times, like, when you start noticing this, noticing how you feel, noticing what you think on a deeper level, then you start noticing the actual force of energy behind the person's words. And it's definitely not an exact science. Obviously, this is a very, very deep exploration. I believe we really need to develop in ourselves, like the actual feeling and noticing and thinking about what is actually being said, and where is this energy coming from, and what is this person saying to me. And only then we can do or make a educated decision on the subject at hand. Because a lot of people like charismatic speakers and charismatic talkers and teachers, they're they're one of the, like, this is the hardest part, like that's one of their gifts. Like this actually penetrates their energy, penetrates someone. Like if you take Gary V, like his way of delivering things is very, very, very straight, very fast, very forceful, even, I would say. It's very convincing, and I believe a lot of what he says is very good. Is very good for people. And that energy, actually, I want to talk about this as well. Like that energy, where does that come from? That actually comes from inside. And I'm glad that he is, quote unquote, fighting the good fight. Because he's saying a lot of valuable things, good things to people. But like, let's take another example of Adolf Hitler. Like, if you have seen the way he spoke publicly and the way he expressed his ideas, it was very convincing to a lot of people. As you all know, I know this is not exactly a laughing matter, but it's very serious. But I just want to illustrate the point of how energy works again. And why is this so convincing? Because they themselves are actually totally and 100% convinced in what they're saying. It's their actual truth. And truth penetrates. And that is a good thing. But this is where everybody has to be aware and think critically. Is this something for me, or is this something for another person or another group of people? Because it isn't always, they're like, Gary Vee isn't perfect, or another like public speaker or a teacher isn't perfect in the way that they interpret energy. What do I mean by that is that one person is in front of them that actually really needs to hear what they are saying, and he needs to, or she needs to, do the exact things they are saying. Or let's keep with Gary Vee here, or what he is saying, but another person might not actually need that at all. He or she needs something entirely different. That's where I believe, like, the interpretation from a teacher point of view or a speaker point of view becomes even more important. A lot of responsibility here for everybody to take, definitely. And yeah, I hope this is clear. There was a lot of information coming here from my end, and just start noticing, start observing and listening. And one of the things you can do is, even like while I'm speaking, I'm doing this with myself as well. Like, what is the energy behind this, and what am I saying, and how I might be portrayed? Is this solid in myself? Is the understanding solid, or isn't it? Right now, for me, it's I can feel that, like, the understanding of the energy and the pattern, how patterns and that to me is solid, or in me feels solid, but like some of the words I needed to use here didn't come straight out of my mouth, and I had to use simpler words. So that that actually delayed some of my delivery, and was a little vulnerable. And even admitting this is very vulnerable. Yeah, I believe this is a good place to stop this episode, and let's make this a little shorter episode. I like 25 minutes, 26, nice. This is a good episode. So, my dear friend Richard, I hope you enjoyed this thought process on the Mandela effect. Definitely want to say that, like, in addition to that, there are, like, I'm not 100% sure. No, I gotta say I'm 100% sure. There are definitely parallel dimensions and universes, and yeah, I gotta say, definitely 100% sure. But I don't think this is actually what is happening here. I think this is group consciousness. And if you have more questions, not only Richard, but hopefully others as well. I want to definitely keep doing this like this, and I am getting ready to do a live episode of Ask Ian. I know I've promised it or put it out there for a couple of episodes now. It is again a little vulnerable for me to do, but I accept the challenge of doing it. And let's see what comes out. And I'm planning to do it live. So if that is something you would enjoy, would definitely love the encouragement, or like something in the comments, or you can also send an email. Just ask Ian888 at gmail.com. You can send me a question, or send me like, I want you to do a live episode of this where we can interactively, you can ask me questions live, or just chime in a little. Why not? And I believe that's good. And many thanks to Richard. Many thanks to people who hopefully listen to this. And I will see you and talk to you soon. Have a great 2 weeks. let's put 2 weeks as a good timeline for the next episode. Bye for now.